Hey guys, I'm Captain Foley from Trekyards.
I got our guns, also from Trekyards. We know that because we're on Trekyards.
That's right, and we have behind the scenes breaking news, kind of discovery information, and it's one of my favorite topics, my favorite things in the world. LCARS from Star Trek. Did you know that there were LCARS in the little teaser clip we got?
Um, did, I put a screenshot of it. I believe me, we are looking at this amazing video that was released very recently about Discovery behind the scenes, and they released so many little tidbits of everything. And yes,
You know,
LCARS, there is an LCARS there.
yeah, and they look better with my glasses off. See, you know how blurry they are, Samuel? You see how blurry they are?
Yeah, this is sort of a semi-joke video. I did sort of twist Stuart's arm to do this video because we're literally looking at
Well,
5 panels that are out of focus. But you know what? You can take things from that.
yes, and we do that all the time in Trekyards because sometimes we have no information to go on, but we construct and
Yes.
dissect. No, anyway, what I was saying. See how blurry it is?
It's very blurry.
That's how I see without my glasses. Just so you're aware.
Oh.
So now you can feel like you're Captain Foley. And I'm allergic to Retin X5, guys. So don't ask.
Anyway, so this was filmed on the 25th of this month, this shot. In episode 1, director David Smell and camera... Not even going to try and pronounce that. But my take is this is the bridge. That's my assumption.
Navarro Gamaro.
Cool.
Sorry, I had to say it.
Do it. My take is this is the bridge. You see some sort of pylon-y or structural beams. You see light beams. You see a green table-y thing. You see a front console. Then you see a back console with a person standing there who could be in the blue uniform that we also see in a separate video. That was my take on it, which could be a duty uniform, could be a whatever. So what this tells us, Stuart, I'll do the first thing, is this tells us that the LCARS are blue. Why is that interesting? Why are we making a whole video about being blue?
Some of my favorite LCARs are movie era LCARs. And in Star Trek 6,
Yes.
these look very similar to Star Trek 6. However, they also look very similar to something else, which we kind of discovered when we were just filming our last video about the uniforms.
Yes.
If you watch Star Trek Beyond, which I'm sure some of you have, pay very close attention to the background images, which we'll be showing,
Yep.
of the LCARS, or computer displays, on the Franklin, which is the same time period-ish as this.
Well, it's about
displays.
70, 80. There's still a big jump. It's the closest piece of tech, bar cage, we'll get into in a minute.
Yes. So there are tie-ins with other things. Now, I'm not saying this is the Kelvin verse. This isn't. This is Prime Timeline.
But so was the Franklin at launch, because that was launched before any Divergent.
True.
And, if I'm right, the Franklin Bridge actually did have beams and lights in the ceiling and in the walls.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very similar, actually. I'll show some side-by-sides here. So I would certainly say this is linking to some extent to that style. I mean, technically speaking, Beyond was the very last Star Trek made. And Franklin was the very last prime Star Trek tech shown. And because it's so-ish close to this, if you were a designer and you wanted to tell a new story in this new post-09 universe, and you weren't a big Trekkie as in the same way that we are for the old stuff, you would actually look at that, wouldn't you? Because it makes sense. It's only 50 years out. That's the natural step. You know, just like for TNG looked at TOS, or for TNG,
Yeah. And the Kelvin and the Franklin were supposed to be prime timeline before the Divergence, with the Narada coming through. So it makes perfect sense that they're trying to tie in a little bit with that, even though it doesn't really tie in with TOS.
I mean, if you recall, I said right at the beginning of the original, the Alpha, as I call it, iteration of the Discovery, had those very Franklin-esque ribs on the top. Clearly,
Yes.
And the colouring is very much Kelvin, so stylistically. So now, we might seem a bit silly there, talking about displays for ships. It's a bit of an odd thing, but, hey, Windows and Mac, that's a big discussion in itself, so we all talk about, computers. But in the continuity of the show, which is, for us, the most important thing almost, about how things tie in to this, Third World War, which didn't happen, time to 29th century time agents, or 31st. That span of history which has been shown over these 50 years. That's important to us. They've told this tapestry, adding new bits, and making this cool thing where you can always picture any part of the universe and know roughly what happened somewhere near that. So that's important. So in terms of the timeline, you have the sort of first LCARS, the NX-01, which are blue. At the end of Enterprise, or the end of their mission, sort of right at the end, Federation being formed, they were pushing into blue, but with those, because they wanted to make it look more like TOS, those slightly red, orange, yellow colours mixed in. That was the evolutionary step. Franklin is meant to be next in the evolutionary line as being after the founding of the Federation. They used blue for panels and a greeny colour for the display. Then you have Cage, which is reddier, red and yellows and oranges, a little less uniform than TOS, which is actually at the same time period. So it should be that, but could be an older ship, could be a newer ship, whatever. Then TOS is more similar yellows, oranges, reds, but in a much more neutral and also contain like the same set of colours. And then motion picture is, what is motion picture? I don't remember what motion picture is. Sort of.
The motion picture was kind of a mix of TOS and what we see later in the movies.
Right.
There was a lot of colored displays and stuff as well. So
yeah, then it goes full blue.
Yeah.
Then it
full
goes
blue and green. Yeah.
Yeah, full blue, and then it goes to oranges for TNG all the way into Nemesis, which goes back to a bluey form, and then purples for 29th century. But you know, that's a separate issue. So it's interesting that they'd put this blue there. I mean, it could mean nothing, but it's, yeah, blue. Links to NX-01, links to Franklin. It's not yet to TOS, I suppose. Yeah.
LCARS. I like LCARS. Okay. So, yeah, it's an interesting discussion. It bothers me a little bit because I do love the look of the classic TOS, but at the same time, I want something more updated, obviously, for a newer show. So, I don't know. It's always kind of bugged me, the whole NX-01 era look, tying in with TOS. They did a good job of making the brighter colors at the end there, and the way they flashed on the screens even was very similar. So, I don't know what to think about the blue. I mean, I love it. That's right. Like I said, the movie eras are my favorite colors. The blue and the greens on the black background is by far the best LCARS. So I'm happy to see this in a new show. But we're overthinking this, as we always do.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they've made a choice to do it one way. If the one way breaks everything beforehand, or at least the rules, then they've made a choice to break the rules, which is an interesting choice. Because any research team will look into what's in the past, what's in the future. Otherwise, you're not researching it, and if we don't care. Well, so we're overthinking it, but they had to make the choice, and it's interesting why they made the choice.
Well, I'm sure in the 60s, if they had the capabilities, they would have done something similar to this. I mean, you've seen the CG Bridge Replacement video that's been going around for years. If you look at those displays, which are beautiful, I actually wish they would redo the bridge like that. They are the very blue and green movie era style look to them.
Well, I mean, I think we associate cool blues with advancement. I mean, Windows, cool blues. You know, a whole of the technology is cool blues. That's just has a sort of advancedness to it, you know. So whereas if you're bright, whereas bright oranges, it is an acquired taste. It's a bit warm, you know. It's not militaristic and bright oranges, is it? But that wasn't TNG's style anyway. One more thing I want to point out about this is that, you know, the NX-01 sort of it didn't have so much rows of monitors. It had sort of like screens. They were distinct screens, like almost off the shelf screens because they were. And you know, TOS had jelly button beam things and then screens that were sort of combined but sort of split because they were actual real screens. There was later on TNG they have just flat screen monitor pieces because they were just things on plastic printed and then lights behind, so it was very sleek. This follows this follows that feel, and it has so much more displays than TOS, you know, which has a line displays and then a top sort of viewing thing. This has 3 lines of buttons / displays, so it feels more advanced. It feels more like Andromeda. It feels more like a normal sci-fi show. It has just maximum display, maximum technological, you know, display. Well, you need information for a starship, so you'd have real estate. It certainly feels like a TNG or movie era. You know, it's interesting because if this was a movie era show like the first rumors were, we'd be seeing the uniform and saying, "Ooh, cool blue." Maybe it's, you know, Okay, that'd be a bit radical. But this bridge would be like, oh yeah, it's a movie era something else, iterative step. We only ever saw the same bridge redressed four times. Plus one new build that got destroyed, and then one, Excelsior, which is a rubbish little bridge, and then it was a redress. So I mean, we only ever saw the Enterprise bridge as the movie era. Bit sad, really, but
One thing haven't really. One thing we got to consider too is that this could be misleading in a way. This could be a ship from the future.
The Klingon bridge.
There you go. This could be a ship from the future, perhaps, that is telling the tale of Discovery or comes back. It could be a temporal story. Who knows? They could be fooling us. We figured they might be doing that with the uniforms we saw, which we discussed in our uniform or our costume video. Looking at this picture a little bit closer, it does look like the guy that's standing in front of it is wearing like a NX-style jumpsuit. So it looks like it might be all one-piece uniform.
It would be a natural-ish step. Interesting.
I think that's probably all we can glean from what we see here, guys.
We gleaned a lot.
And those things sticking down, those beams are a tripping hazard. I'm just saying, if you're running around at a red alert, you don't want that. A lot of the hallways in Star Trek are like that, actually.
Step carefully.
Carry a big stick.
Anyway, Stuart, we've got more videos to film today, so we hope you enjoyed this look at the out of focus blurry LCARS in a 720p video. It's Trekyards, guys. We know our tech. So, help the show, support the show, share the show, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Click that little bell notification to be subscribed to actually get our notifications. Patreon, donation, trekyards.com, everything. Support the show, and we'll do more Discovery news like we have done today. So until next time, I'm Connor Coggins.
And I love LCARS. See? No, I'm Captain Foley, but I got to close with a question. Where did they get their LCARS displays? Some of you know what I'm talking about. Bye, guys.